Good morning, and we are live. And yes, I do apologize, Lorraine. I have been tardy lately. I do apologize. There's some issues going on with the streaming program that I use. It's not one to recognize the. I have to wear earbuds so that when I stream something for you, I can actually hear it without it echoing into the mic. So I can't use speakers. I've got to use earbuds, some other Bluetooth. Program, or pardon me, earbuds or headphones or whatever to keep the echo down. And for some reason, they did an update with the streaming software, which is not cheap, by the way, which is kind of frustrating me because, if I wanted problems, I could go with any number of free streaming programs that are a little bit more complicated. But yeah, we've had problems lately because it doesn't want to recognize the Bluetooth earbuds in the program. I don't get it. I don't know. Seems like every time they try to update something, it doesn't matter if it's Microsoft or who it is, they just break it. I always laugh. I always joke. I always catch hell from the software engineers and the coders out there because I always say there is no other industry in the world where we would accept the kind of failure rate that software engineers and coders have. I mean, could you imagine going to your mechanic for an oil change and you pull out and a tire falls off? Why were you even touching the tires, my guy? I mean, it just drives me up the wall. We're going to talk a lot about Israel today. You know me, folks. I've always said there's a vibrant left in Israel, but they have had the shit kicked out of them in just about every election. And the conservatives are backed. It's much like what's happening here in the United States. The conservatives in Israel are backed by a bunch of oligarchs that are extremists, which has been a challenge for the left. And they have run roughshod over the country. And it is a disaster. There's no other way to put it. It is a disaster for Israel. So let's do it. Let's dig into it. Let's talk about what's happening. You folks know who these people are. Let's talk about what is the core of the Republican Party and the right. It's bigots. It's white supremacists. These, remember the old boys from Charlottesville, right? I mean, you remember these guys from Charlottesville, which led to this iconic image. This was before Trump was elected the first time. And the right just really started leaning hard into its bigotry. They did. By the way, this guy in the middle here wearing the black shirt, I always like to remind people, his name is Ted Landrum. These guys were walking around screaming, the Jews will not replace us, and blood and soil, and yada, yada, yada. All this went on at Charlottesville. Well, this guy in the middle, Ted Landrum, who's one of the ones that claimed that his genetics and his character and who he is superior. He was busted a couple of years back muling drugs over our southern border. Remember, they always like to say it's immigrants. No, the drugs that come across the southern border are brought in by Americans. It's by white supremacist organizations. It's part of the way they fund themselves. It's by gangs. It's Americans muling these drugs over. And old Ted Landrum got busted, and he was going to go to jail and couldn't handle it and committed suicide. Yeah, Mr. Superiority. But it's not those. It's all kinds of groups in different fashions and different degrees at which they're accepted within the Republican Party. I mean, like, you've got the Boogaloo Boys that are ever present. If you look around at any of these right-wing rallies, you'll see the Hawaiian shirts. They're usually armed. They're usually carrying an AR-15 or some other weapon. But you'll see those guys, and I know they look like fools. I know they look like idiots. They really do tend to look like morons. But you've got to take them seriously. You do. These are the Boogaloo Boys, and they're in the George Floyd protests. These are the guys that shot up a police precinct and set a police precinct on fire, trying to escalate the riots, trying to blame it on people of color and the people that were peacefully protesting the murder of George Floyd. You had these guys, the Boogaloo Boys, that infiltrated the rally and the protests and engaged in violence. I'm sure they have their reason for but it's just what they choose to set them off. And they all have their different looks. It's a great question. You've got the Proud Boys that are, always wear black and gold. They're always identified by certain, the Proud Boys. They have been part of the Trump movement from the beginning. Trump just pardoned their leader. Then you've got these people that show up on the news constantly that are just openly Nazis. You got the Blood Tribe that show up and scream racist screeds everywhere. You're getting the idea. I mean, this is the core. They're in your schools, folks. They're in your colleges recruiting young men. They are. And the reason a lot of these guys cover their faces is they're ex-cons. It's old losers recruiting young idiots and taking everything that every challenge these men face. And it's never because you didn't study or you didn't go to school, you didn't, or you're an idiot, or you've got, just untreated disorders. It's never any of that. It's always somebody else is the source of their problems, and it's the same thing. They tell them, you're better than everybody else. You're genetically superior, and it's not you, man. You're not the source of your problems. It's them. It's those people. If those people weren't here, man, you would have an amazing life, and we would just be allowed to excel. But no, we can't do that because of them. Because they're over here eating our dogs, they're over here eating our cats, and you get it. I mean, you've seen it. This is the core of the Republican Party. It is. And they marry it together with religion and patriotism. And speaking of patriotism, you've got these idiots you see all the time. These white supremacist groups, and they're filled with, a lot of the reason these guys wear masks all the time is they're cops, they're professors, they're teachers, and then some of them get arrested and you find out, oh wait, that guy's a pedophile. That guy's been arrested. He's a longtime gang member. But here they get together and they put their little khaki twat outfits on, and they, talk about how superior they are and how they are, just great. And again, it's always their problems are not their problems. They didn't cause the problems. It's always somebody else. That is the core of the Republican Party. Trump got into office selling that bigotry. You know, when crime was at an historically low levels, he got into office selling bigotry. It's them brown people, man. Them immigrants are doing it. They're hurting you. And they would go find. We talked about this before. Especially if the victim of a crime is a young woman, and they talk about it like it's just a daily occurrence, and it's all fantasy land bullshit, but it's dangerous. It is dangerous, and it is the core of who they are. But despite the fact that it's on public display, despite the fact that it's on public display, despite the fact that the things that they claim in their, all of their mantras and rhetoric is provably wrong. I mean, it's provably false. You always have a never-ending line of the people that these people hate that are willing to stand up and be counted among the Republicans and speak out for them, to be a tool. There's just a never-ending line of the very people they hate, and they don't hide it. You get like, Moses Johnson, Speaker Johnson, that, he pretends to just be all in Christ, and no, man, no. They married that bigotry and hate to the churches a long time ago. They're the good Christians, and everybody else are the depraved mongrels that don't know God. And it's just mind-blowing every time one of these people come along. You got like Candace Owens. Candace Owens. She is attractive. She is incredibly well-spoken. She really can spin a yarn, man. And she is more than willing to repeat and amplify every one of the bigoted bullshit attacks that come out of the conservative right-wing racists. She's more than happy to throw black culture under the bus. She's more than happy to just repeat all the bigoted bullshit. And what has it got her? What has it got her? Nothing. She just got fired from her job at the Daily Wire. She's, as well-spoken as she is, as attractive as she is, you would think in any other organization, she would gravitate to the top. They would really run with her. I mean, because that's what you want, right? You don't want some ugly old hillbilly like me being your mouthpiece. You want pretty people. No, they do not. They'd rather have Looney Loomer. You know all the crazies. I don't have to go through them all. Why do you think that old Candace Owens hasn't gravitated to the top? Yeah. I mean, y'all get it. Jim Dabber, great viewpoints with clarity. Much thanks. No, thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Yeah. I mean, it's just it's plain and simple and open. This this isn't this isn't difficult. Everybody sees it. Josh Hessinger, if those first of all, new supporter, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you. John Hessinger, if those boogaloo bums used half as much of their energy they use on hate to actually better themselves, they wouldn't be such failures. Ain't that the truth? Helen, thanks for supporting the show. That is absolutely the truth. 100%. Then you got these guys that have blown my mind. These guys have been around. They were around in the forever, man. For as long as I've been around politics, these people have blown people's minds forever. How can you support these people? But yeah, you've got the log cabin Republicans. Wearing his proud gay Republican shirt. I mean, do we really have to take a deep dive into what the Republican Party thinks of the LGBTQ plus community? And there's really no way to, it would take a psychologist, somebody beyond my education to explain this. It really would, because I can't explain to you how something like that happens, because you could be a conservative Democrat. We are a big tent party. There are conservative Democrats. You know, over here on the right, there's conservative Democrats, and way over here, man, we got the commies they all accuse us of being. I mean, it's a spectrum in the Democratic Party. And people would actually listen to your voices. But no, you've got the log cabin Republicans that have been here forever and have always been screwed over by the Republican Party. Over and over and over again. Lori Yates, thank you for being such a wise voice in all the chaos. No, I appreciate you people. I appreciate you people. Exactly. The Republican, it's about white males, the misogyny. You know, you got guys like the Tate brothers that are elevated, you know, that they do favors for. In steps in Arabs for Trump. Cost us the election, pretty much. You know, the Genocide Joe people. Does anybody anywhere not see the way? I mean, they had a Muslim ban. A Muslim ban. Does anyone not see? But they were more than willing to do it. They were more than willing to do it. Samantha Fakeda, MAGA plus Republican minions are haters and takers. If you are not part of the solution, you are the problem. Thank you for being here. I always support the show. I appreciate you. But you know what did the Arabs for Trump get out of this? You know, and their support. Trump says he's going to take over Gaza, turn it into a Riviera. Kick all the people out, and the people that get kicked out aren't going to come back. He's going to give Netanyahu. I mean, this is stuff he actually said, man. I could pull you headlines up for all of this. He's going to give Netanyahu whatever he needs to finish the job. It's no secret what the job is. I mean, it's one group after another that just don't seem to understand the core of the Republican Party is bigotry. It is bigotry. It is about white European Protestants. That's it. They hate everybody. They hate the new Pope, man. The intersection with Amy Emanuel, Stephen Miller is Jewish, don't understand Jewish Republicans. Always ahead of the conversation. You guys are always ahead of the conversation. Great segue. In steps Itamar Ben-Gvir. I know y'all don't know much about this because it didn't really get much coverage in the media, but Itamar Ben-Gvir, the radical that's to the right of Netanyahu when it comes to war and violence, and this is the guy that says he wants to bomb food depots, that not an ounce of food should be allowed into Gaza. He says that openly and proudly. In fact, I mean, he just said it the other day at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, I kind of shocking, right? You know, you didn't know that he was at Mar-a-Lago. He was the guest of honor for a dinner at Mar-a-Lago just a couple weeks ago. This is him standing on the right, espousing that same shit. It's him over here on the far right. This is when they were introducing him. They had a whole round table set up for him to stand up and preach his radical ass, starve him to death, bomb him out, take everything mantra. What do you think these core bigots in the Republican Party think about Jewish people? And I know everybody mentions Stephen Miller happens to be Jewish, but you know, there were Jewish people that helped the Nazis. There were. There just were. I mean, what do you think these people think about the Jewish people? What do you think they want to do with the Jewish people here in our country? You know, the Blood Tribe, the Patriot Twats, the Proud Boys. You think the Proud Boys are going to have a Jewish leader? What do you think that they think? What do you think they want to happen? This core that is the Republican right. Vincent Day, thank you for keeping us informed, and have a wonderful weekend. Matacool asks, why do they vote R? Media propaganda? We have a really terrible media strategy and send mixed messages. 10 is big and contains disparate values. I'm not gonna shoot myself in the foot. I'm not responsible for those people. I'm not. There's something wrong with them. Omniscient Sphinx, do people not remember who signed off on the surrender papers to the Taliban and was the reason for the terrible way the U.S. military left the country? Yeah, you know, the bigoted right doesn't care. They didn't want us in Afghanistan, remember? They were like, screw those people. Let the Russians kill them. They didn't really care. Hell, they left everybody that, they've blocked. We've tried to get those families brought over. No. You know, the Biden administration got some brought over. Now they're trying to deport them. Our hands. Thanks, Texas Paul. Stay strong. Keep speaking truth to power. I appreciate you guys. I do. Rosita, thank you for being here. New supporter. Rosita Benita, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show. But seriously, folks, I mean, we're talking about foreign policy here that's really, really, you're talking about decades and decades and decades and decades of instability and war and just world problems. And then you've got Netanyahu that stands up and he thinks, hey, I'm going to support Trump. Trump's my guy. You saw it before the election. Joe Biden very publicly said, look, we're not going to send you those 2,000-pound bombs to destroy Gaza. We're not going to do it. We're not going to cut off all your weapons, but we're not going to send you those because I need you to stop bombing Gaza. And old Netanyahu said, well, we'll see about that. And did everything he could to get Trump elected. He fomented the Arabs for Trump shit. He played the fiddle perfectly for Trump. So of course Trump's going to have loyalty to Netanyahu, right? I mean, Trump's going to, of course, right? No. Trump has no loyalty to anyone. I mean, did Trump help out Rudy Giuliani? No. That old man is scrapping for every penny he can get. Trump's not there to help him out. Mike Lindell sacrificed his entire company for Trump. Where's old Mike Lindell? Think they're going to do anything for Elon Musk now that his companies are going to shit? Nah. Not going to be there to help him. But they're going to work together in that bigotry. Let's bring them Afrikaners into the country. Let's do that. Because the Afrikaners, believe in apartheid. They believe in, that whole white superiority thing. Mike Daly, take care, brother. Ultimately, it's one big grift for Trump and MAGA. Trump goes all in on Israel v. Gaza, then takes the first international trip to countries that want Israel obliterated. Again, you folks are always ahead of the conversation. That's where we're going. John Wilming, they want Armageddon, natural disaster or man-made, and then rebuild it all in the way they see as what is the right way. I will, my friend. I will. Stay salty. Both McPasser says, stay salty. Glenn Kaneko, I so appreciate the backstory. It makes everything clear. You just got to, it's so obvious. You just got to sit there and look at it. Just remember, MKD1's only loyalty is to how much have you paid me lately? True. 100% true. On those lines, the Russia-Ukraine talks have collapsed. They were in the room together for 2 hours. For 2 hours. Is Trump doing anything to pressure Russia? No. Is Trump doing anything to pressure Ukraine? No. Why? Ukraine paid him. He got his mineral deal. So Russia came into those talks, made a bunch of over-the-top, ridiculous demands like Ukraine disarm itself, move its forces out of its own territory that it controls. Basically move back to Kyiv, move your forces back to Kyiv so that we can just invade the whole freaking country. And Ukraine said, no, that's a non-starter. They were only in the room long enough to read each of their demands, and then they both stood up and said, bye, and left. Where was the United States in this? Nowhere, because Trump doesn't care. Trump doesn't care. Yet you still have people just lining up. For Volodymyr Zelensky gets it. And the Arab leaders right now in the Middle East, they get it. They get it. They know what Trump is. They do. Volodymyr Zelensky figured out, war is young men dying and old men making money, and I've got the greediest, no character piece of trash guy over here that can be bought. So let's buy him. There's nothing there. And, Netanyahu, just like Candace Owens, what did she get? Nothing. What did the Arabs for Trump get? Nothing. Gaza is obliterated, folks. It is obliterated. Everybody, after the October 7th attacks, everybody understood a response. Everybody understood trying to get your hostages back. Nobody supports what's going on there now, except for the radical extremists on the right in Israel. And they don't know they're on their own. Because 2 weeks after Itamar Ben-Gvir was down at Mar-a-Lago, getting the smiley face and the, thinking that, oh man, he's doing something. Itamar Ben-Gvir is like Trump. Just let him talk. Just let him talk. He digs his own hole, then climbs in it, and then buries himself. Because, not just a couple weeks after that, without talking to Israel, there were Israeli jets in the air that were working with our military to attack the Houthis. They were literally in the air when Trump made a deal without involving at all, without looping them in. They had to find out from press releases that Trump had made a deal with the Houthis. Yeah, that happened. Remember how we talked about the planes being thrown overboard? How much this has cost us? A couple days after we did that show and talked about that, Trump just declared victory. Got a little promise from the Houthis that they won't attack shipping anymore. We'll see how long that lasts. But didn't loop Israel in at all. So what are the Houthis doing? They're lobbing missiles over Saudi Arabia into Israel right now. Yeah. We just took our ball and went home. And now Israel's sitting there holding the bag. What did Netanyahu think was going to happen? I mean, does nobody ever just look at what's happened publicly? Much less what your intelligence agencies can find out for you behind closed doors. Just what's happened publicly. Thank you, Victor Petorsky. I appreciate you. Thanks for supporting the show. I mean, does nobody ever look when they get in bed with this freak? Comey got the man freaking elected. James Comey got the man elected. Opening an investigation, just days before the election, making press, breaking all FBI procedures, all FBI norms, comes out and makes a public announcement of an investigation literally days before the election. Of course, Trump took care of James Comey, right? No. James Comey is a man without a country. He's got no support from anybody on the left. The right hates him because he didn't sufficiently bend the knee and do what these freaks do. Have you seen these cabinet meetings? I mean, these Republicans have figured it out. This is North Korea level shit. Have you seen these cabinet meetings? They go around from person to person. Trump, you are the greatest president the world has ever known. Your vision and leadership and the way the flowery aroma from your diaper just subdues everyone in negotiations with you, and you have the finest negotiations ever anywhere that's ever existed. And I wish that impression was farther removed from reality. It's not. They literally go from person to person to person and have these North Korean bullshit fests. But what did it buy Comey? Cecile Kazemi, does anyone ever look? No, because people like that never want to confuse the issue with the facts. Thank you for being here to support the show. Thank you. I mean, what did it buy Comey? Well, I'll tell you what, Comey woke up to a criminal investigation this morning. Do you know what offense James Comey supposedly engaged in that has caused the Department of Justice to open an investigation into him today? He posted a beach picture, and on the beach there were shells laid out that said 8647, which is a mantra that's going around on social media. 8647. In other words, just get rid of Trump. So, of course, the DOJ is going to the most radical extreme because, yeah, James Comey threatened the president. My God, give me a freaking break. 86 can mean anything. Impeachment. It could just mean elect Democrats and oppose the guy and make him, tie his hands. But no. But because Trump is a bully, and bullies never fight with people they think can punch back. They don't. And Comey is a man without a country. So he's a punching bag. He's a punching bag because there's nobody there. I don't know about you, but I'm not starting to GoFundMe for James Comey's legal bills here. I'm not. That's why they're going after him. That's why they're doing that ridiculous criminal investigation into James Comey for posting a picture of seashells on a beach that say 8647. That was supposedly the crime. A cabinet of nose stains. Thank you, Rich. And I agree with you 100%. I would go with crap stains, but I agree with the sentiment. So yeah, nobody has ever gotten any loyalty for any. Look at Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen was Trump's guy, his fixer forever. I mean, we don't know all the shit that Michael Cohen did for him. We just know what they talk about. Did Michael Cohen get any loyalty for years and years? No, they threw him under the bus as soon as possible. I mean, don't these people look? It's like old Rick Wilson said, everything Trump touches dies. And it's never not been true. Tell me anybody that doesn't get involved with Trump that doesn't end up thrown under the bus. Trump made a deal with the Houthis without talking to Israel, without warning them. Literally, Israel's planes were in the air. Israel is getting attacked by Houthi missiles right now today, and we're not doing shit about it. We're not. You're on your own. You're on your own. Israel bombs Syria, trying to keep al-Shara from doing what al-Shara is doing. The corporate media right now doesn't know which way to go with al-Shara because they have no idea who or what he is or what Trump wants, or they don't know what to do with themselves when it comes to al-Shara. I've been very open about it. The guy was Al-Qaeda. He was an Osama bin Laden lieutenant, but this guy is much smarter than Osama bin Laden. Much smarter than Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was a rich brat. His family was ultra wealthy. They were like the Halliburton of the Middle East. They are to this day. And he went from business to extremism, to terrorism, to hate, to not understanding, how to make things happen. Osama bin Laden believed in his own supremacy. Because that's what's behind all the radical Islam is no different than white Christian white supremacy. It's no difference. It's two sides to the same coin. Radical Islam believes that they are superior to everyone else and everybody else is below them. And the Bible tells them that they can treat anybody, what you get because you're an infidel. I'm not guilty of anything because you're an infidel. You're less than me. They're literally two sides to the same coin. That was Osama bin Laden. Al-Shara is not that. Al-Shara, I compare him more to Saladin. He's gone the other direction. He went from extremism to business. And it's paying off. It's paying off. While Israel is trying to bomb and destabilize Syria, Trump is praising al-Shara, telling everybody what a good-looking guy he is, what a smart guy he is. Meanwhile, Israel's out of the loop on that one also. They were out of the loop here on the Houthis. Trump went 100% the opposite direction of what Netanyahu wanted on Syria. Why am I saying, is this the beginning of the end for Israel? Why am I saying that Netanyahu's hubris and that they're just another one in a long line of people like Candace Owens and any other group of people of color that have ever backed Trump went? Like the log cabin Republicans have been treated forever within the Republican Party and marginalized within the Republican Party. Like Arabs for Trump got nothing they wanted. Why am I saying that Netanyahu has just possibly signed the death warrant for Israel? Well, we talked about Al-Thani yesterday, or pardon me, on Wednesday. We talked about the plane. Guys, the plane was nothing. The open bribe that the plane was, the palace in the sky, was nothing. The Saudis and Qatar have just handed Trump and the Trump organization about $5 billion. They're going to build a Trump resort in Doha. Yeah. No, I mean, they've already got the little models built. They've already got the landscaping laid out. They've got everything. They've got the money in place. They've got the companies in place. So let me timeline this for you. While Netanyahu is sending Itamar Ben-Gvir to New York and to Mar-a-Lago and to Yale and to alienate everybody, because that is what Itamar Ben-Gvir does. Hubris kills, my granddad. Stop calling stupid. Amen, brother. I hear you. While all that was going on, and Trump was saying, "Oh yeah, come down to Mar-a-Lago, Itamar Ben-Gvir. I'll have a dinner in your honor." That resort deal was done. Yeah, you did. This didn't happen yesterday. This has been months in the making. And I don't mean negotiations and concepts of a plan and no, this is they have the land staked out. So while Netanyahu thought he was getting something, Trump was selling him down the river. ET says the plane has always been a distraction. It is nothing. It is a small fraction. And folks, going into the election, we saw the cryptocurrency, the meme coins, and all of these buyers that they were like, that's from the Middle East. We don't know who owns that crypto wallet, but we know it's in the Middle East. Greasing Trump's palm. Where do you think the Saudis and Qatar stand on Israel? Shortness 3000. It was widely reported that before serial killer Glenn Rogers was executed yesterday, his last words were, "President Trump, keep making America great." Yeah, that makes sense, man. That comports. Thanks for supporting the show. Yeah. Are you following? Are you thinking about the timeline? The same time you've got Arabs for Trump and the genocide Joe shit. And the same time you have Netanyahu, shooting us Democrats in the butt to help Trump. Trump's getting the crypto deals that are also tied to China. The same time Trump is supposed to be, helping his buddy Putin, you got the Chinese crypto deals with major buyers that are in the Middle East. So how safe do you think Israel is right now? I mean, he sold out Putin for just the potential to make money in Ukraine down the road after. How safe do you think Israel is with that resort going up in Qatar? And let's be a little bit more pragmatic about it. What does Israel have? Their natural gas and oil resources are minuscule. They've got some, but They're not a blip on the radar. Potash, Canada's got, I mean, if you want to compare, um, if you want to say the potash that Israel has to sell is, I don't know, like Yosemite's, you know, the dome in Yosemite. Then what Canada has to sell is Mount Everest. Haifa oranges, yeah, Mr. Newton. They just don't. Israel sells technology. They sell weaponry. They import almost everything for their industries. It's not a land of great natural resources. Its resources have always been its people. One of its largest exports is cut diamonds. Folks, cut diamonds, not industrial diamonds, cut diamonds are, they're the sprinkles on top of the cupcake. They're not even the icing. They're damn sure not the cake. But Syria is ass deep in oil and resources and minerals, and it's a beautiful place. Feel free to spend some time on Google looking at Syria. It's a beautiful country. And they've got a leader there that is acting more like Saladin. Al-Shara is just, I've told you multiple times. I was worried for this guy's life for a while because he had so many different forces. He had Turkey up in the north. He had some extremists down in the southeast. He's got another set of extremists down in the southwest. He's got Hezbollah and, all these groups. I was like, man, he's not going to, any one of these groups can turn on him. What does he have now? He's coming back to Syria. He came back to Syria yesterday, triumphant. He's going back to each one of those groups and he's telling them, Israel's done. You've been trying since the, middle of last century. All you have to do is sit back now and make money. And Israel is done. Because Trump is going to make money here. So his business interests will be here. They've all figured this out. This is what I mean by they're not Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, 9/11 was because we desecrated Saudi soil with our troops, folks. He was that much of an extremist. Al-Shara, mirror opposite. Come do business. Welcome. I'm telling you, he is a smart, charismatic leader that is going to pull these groups together, because now what does he have to offer them? The demise of Israel. Colleen Sarah, sorry to backtrack, but 8647 was the number of days since 9/11 on May 15th, 2025. Even X posted it if you look. Yeah, but what it means is really 8647 is being promoted, get Trump as the 47th president, trash Trump. That, I know what you're saying, and you're right about that 100%. But yeah, you can't say it's not, doesn't mean what it means. I mean, everybody's promoting it. Hell, I was thinking about putting a cup out with the 8647 on it. But are you following what I'm laying down here? Qatar. You've had Hamas's leaders living the high life. They're billionaires. living the life of luxury in Qatar. You've got the United Arab Emirates that are now going to open a Trump hotel. They've got this figured out. What can Israel bring to the table to compete besides problems? I mean, do you get where I'm going? Can you smell what I'm cooking? These leaders have figured out you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And that we've got a president now that is just sick and greedy and useless and has no moral compass. And you can buy him. And they are. And in that business, what does Israel have to offer? What can Israel offer Trump? Gaza? Some beachfront property? Maybe. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. And I'm telling you, folks, it's just like Signalgate. When Signalgate first broke, and they're like, "Oops, they invited a reporter in," I'm like, "That's not the story. The story is they're using their personal cell phones, and the story is they're using a free app, and they're using that app not because it's secure, because it's not. They're using an insecure app on personal cell phones on Russian networks." On Russian cell networks. You know that, right? I mean, your phone is connected to whatever cell network you're near. And I kept telling you there's going to be more and more and more and more to it. And sure enough, you know, they found out there's a hell of a lot more meetings because they're continuing to use it. They're still using it to this day. That story has not gone away. We haven't heard the worst out of it. The corporate media is very slow to catch on. The Wall Street Journal ran a story, but Trump stepped all over it with some, insane, preposterous crap, like he always does, to change the subject. Exactly, Stephanie. Hegseth the drunk. That story will keep on giving because Hegseth is incompetent. That job requires competence. So there will be failure after failure after failure. Same thing with Puppy Killer. She can cosplay all she wants. That's only going to play with the jerk off bigot core of the Republican Party. Trump's numbers are in the shitter. He's the lamest of lame ducks already. And he's holding a fire sale, man. So what do you think this means for Israel? Because again, just like Candace Owens, just like the log cabin Republicans, just like the Arabs for Trump, Netanyahu's got nothing to sell now. Nothing at all. Ask Rudy Giuliani where that leaves you when you've got nothing left to offer Trump. Lenore Banks, Trump is so stupid he thinks chocolate ate milk. He thinks chocolate milk comes from brown cows. I get what you meant. I got the typo. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I know exactly what you meant. Trump is so stupid he thinks chocolate milk comes from brown cows. So yeah, folks, I mean, I just need you to think about that for a minute. What that means going forward. And if you have loved ones that are in Israel, you know, they're like, I keep telling people, Netanyahu does not have a massive majority of people that support him in Israel. They have the same problem we have here of people not voting, not turning out, of buying into bullshit, making things that aren't that important the most important things in their lives. And then here comes, you know, Netanyahu's like Trump. He's just a grifter who can't survive without chaos. News is breaking today. Without Israel being involved, Trump's claiming they made a deal with Iran. Iran has a lot to offer Trump. Their economy, they have a lot to offer Trump. They do. Israel doesn't. You know, it's kind of like, you know, people were so afraid after Trump got elected because they knew they screwed up. I mean, we knew that letting this happen wasn't going to end well. You know, the same thing's going on in Israel right now. Those people that went all in for Netanyahu, even if you didn't envision that he was going to turn y'all into pariahs, he has. Israel has lost support in Europe. They've lost support here. You cannot talk to someone under the age of 30 in this country that is not Jewish, that does not have something horrible to say about Israel. There is no support. The support for Israel has vanished in this country. It just has. And I know that's not what you have. You have the extremists. You have the Itamar Ben-Gvir supporters, the most radicals of the people there in Israel that absolutely 100% wanted all of this. They think that Israel is just unbeatable and inevitable. And they never envisioned Israel dying a death of 1,000 cuts. Laura Yates, thanks for supporting the show, because that's what I'm talking about, folks. These countries have figured out they don't have to invade Israel. They don't. They can just outcompete Israel. Magnolias, while Trump, Stephen Miller, ETAI keep making Americans look the other way, they keep selling America down the river and our allies along with us. Great segue. Always ahead of the conversation. So if Trump will do this to Israel, because I mean, think about it. If you really analyze Trump's support for Israel, he's never supported Israel in any way that would cost him anything. Like moving our embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem didn't cost Trump anything. The left thought it was stupid and didn't really care. And the right loved it. There's never been any support for Israel that cost Trump anything. And there never will be. But their neighbors have figured this out. We are only a few months in. They have years to do this. Because even if we take Congress in the midterms, Congress doesn't control our foreign policy. The executive branch does. The State Department works for the executive branch people, not Congress. And they know this. And they have changed strategies. And I'm telling you, if you are part of our amazing European audience that is part of the show, I really need you to pay attention to this. Because as much as you are my brothers and sisters, I can't control foreign policy. And Trump hates you people. He does. He really does. You people make him look like the classless clown that he is. That's why he hates NATO so much. I mean, do you really think there's any kind of principle in there that makes him, NATO's not paying their dues, even though there are no dues to pay? It's just their defense spending. I mean, do you think there's really anything there? No. It's just Trump is a little fish in a big pond in Europe. He's nobody, and he's always been treated like nobody. And he hates y'all for it. Mike Daly, Trump, Bibi, and Putin, all three have nowhere to go outside of the power except jail and 6 feet under. Three have nowhere to go outside of power except jail or 6 feet under. Amen. True. Trump is going to figure this out. Trump's going to be a problem at the end of his term because they are criming their asses off. And he's going to figure out that there isn't going to be a third Trump term, and even the Republicans aren't going to be willing to go along with that. And he's going to realize just how vulnerable he is. And that's when he's going to be dangerous. Carl Rossi, the comment about Gaza being a beautiful resort all makes sense now. Yeah. E.T., why do you think that he thumbed his nose at the protocol at the Pope's funeral? Yeah. Monocool, I love stupid people. It's Machiavellian to love them because it makes him look better in comparison. With that, he told us he despises us. Yeah. Spot on, people. So, where does this take us? Israel's going to have, or pardon me, Europe's going to have to get off its ass. They really are. This whole Neville Chamberlain, we'll give you some weapons and good luck, Ukraine. This leaves you odd man out. It does. It leaves you incredibly vulnerable. You've got to take this lion by the mane. You've got to grab this tiger by the tail. You're going to have to step it up and clean up your own backyard. This whole waiting for shit to end in Ukraine so that y'all can make money, that's not going to happen. Because Trump is going to go with whoever will bribe him, and Putin will bribe him. And Trump doesn't want this war to end because he gives a shit about Ukraine. He doesn't. He wants this war to end so the money can start flowing. And he's going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. And you are not going to be involved. There will be no European companies involved in those contracts and deals. He will hand that over, just like I told you before they signed the deal. This is all going back to Putin. This will be Russian companies in Ukraine. making the money. And they will bribe Trump. They will. They'll give him a property in Moscow. And it'll be a done deal. So your concept of being Neville Chamberlain here and just letting them fight it out leaves you on the outside. If you want to be a leader in this next century, you're going to have to put boots on the ground in Ukraine, and you're going to have to tip the tide of this war. You are. Israel, I have no family in Israel. I don't. I have family that's Jewish. And I will tell you, if I had family in Israel, I would be on the phone with them telling them, get ahead of the Exodus, sell your property now, and get the hell out. Because your neighbors just got smart. They're going to kill Israel by a death of 1,000 cuts. Because Israel and Netanyahu and the radical right are going to do exactly what these countries need. They're going to be the ones saying, man, we're just trying to build a golf course here, and look at all this violence. We're just trying to build you a resort in Damascus, beautiful historic Damascus, and look at these Israelis bombing the place. I am telling you, you are already the odd man out, Israel. And if you don't believe it, again, go to the timeline. These resorts didn't happen yesterday. And this little airplane thing, giving them an old used jet, that's nothing. Trump is going to grift and make billions. And that bastard thinks he's going to live forever. He really does. So, yeah, what I've got for you today, the theme for the show is I told you Trump is weak and stupid and incompetent. The people around him are weak and stupid and incompetent. We're going to win. We're going to win in the midterms. We're going to take power in Congress back. But that won't matter because we won't control foreign policy. We'll be able to curtail the worst of the worst. But as I've said multiple times, even a weak, stupid president can do a lot of damage. So yeah, we have zero room for circular firing squads. I just saw another idiot, and I'm going to call him an idiot. He's very popular over on Blue Sky. People love to follow him. He's part of the Arab community. Trying to do a Democrats are bad circular firing squad. No room for it at all. We have no time for any of this. We didn't have time for this last election. Our financial house is a mess. It is. Decades of bad tax policy. And this last hurrah, yeah, we're going to take power back. We are. This tax bill is, again, the beginning of the end for the Republican Party because I've said it over and over and over again. Their policies, it's one thing to talk about it, in the ether. It's one thing to talk about policies and say, oh, it will be great. It's another thing to enact those policies. It's another thing to cut grandma's Medicaid. It's another thing to end Medicaid's ability to negotiate drug prices and watch grandma's prescription prices go through the roof. In reality, all of these policies destroy. You know, Lindsey Graham said it. If we elect Trump, we're going to be destroyed as a party and we're going to deserve it. Well, this second term, there's no guardrails because there is no third term. They've got to grift it out as much as they can grab. It's a smash and grab. And yeah, it's going to destroy the Republican Party. It is. It's going to shift things hard to the Democrats. But folks, we have got to get that momentum going. There's no room for circular firing squads. None whatsoever. I don't give a shit about John Fetterman. I really don't. I really don't. As long as he votes with his leadership the way leadership tells him to, he can be the biggest jerk off in the world because that is much better than Dr. Oz, who's going to vote whichever way Trump told him to. I got no time for any of this. None whatsoever. You know what I was doing? You know what I was doing yesterday? Folks, I was out trying to recruit a candidate. Yeah. Sitting down with a couple, either one of them would have been fantastic. Trying to talk them into running for office. That's what I was doing. I never stopped, folks. I never stopped, ever. So me asking you folks, hey, do me a favor. Get involved with your local Democratic Party. Go to the barbecues they're having now. Go to the rallies that they're having now. Get to meet these people. You'll identify the movers and the shakers. You'll identify the ones that are really making it happen. Plug in. Take those, local Democratic parties that have, gotten old or slowed down or whatever, inject your energy into it and lift it up so that we can get that momentum going. A battering ram doesn't do shit unless you push, unless you get that momentum going. We can say, okay, we know that we're going to do well in the next election because these policies suck ass and it's going to hurt people and it's going to, at the very least, make their people stay home. But don't count on that, folks, because they're going to come back with the bigotry. They're going to come back with the hate. That's what they're going to do. And bigotry is a hell of a drug. You got people out there losing their jobs, losing their businesses that cannot bring themselves to say, I'm not a Republican. That's bullshit. Them Democrats knew what they were doing. No, hell no. Hell no. All they're waiting for is for somebody on the Republican side to come tell them why they did the right thing. And the Republicans are going to try to sell that. They're never going to stop, folks. They're never going to stop. And the Broligarchs, yeah, they're never going to fund Democrats. They aren't. They're going to give a few token donations to keep the Democrats from viewing them as the enemy. So we got to make this happen. I told you over and over again, Kendall Scudder came in. He's the head of the Texas Democratic Party. He's taken over. And right now, after every election, it's the same thing. They're broke. He's got to raise money and raise money fast. So you folks in the audience that are connected We've got executives in the audience. We've got doctors in the audience. We've got professionals in every field out there in our audience, in our group. If you're watching this, you need to be running it up the flagpole. We need to donate to Democrats. This organization that I'm a part of needs to be donating to Democrats. It's the only way we make it happen, folks. Because I have to tell you, while I was, if you're talking with a quality candidate, they ask quality questions. And the biggest one where I saw the color drain from their face, because this was a successful, intelligent person, great resume, great speaker, wonderful person, great human being. How much is this going to cost me? And I tried to tap dance around that because it's not the conversation I wanted to have right away out the gate. Thanks for the support, Trash Man. Thanks. Not the conversation I wanted to have because, we'll have time to get behind them and have time to help them raise money. But they kept pressing. And I'm not going to lie to somebody. To run in this district here, $5 million. And the color drained from his face because all he could imagine was having to write that check. And if you're part of the local Democratic Party, you can help with that. Volunteers reduce that cost. You can help the local Democratic Party you're near, help them raise money. And because you are who you are, people, you can help your organizations that you are professionally part of. Help these people. This is how we do it on the local level. I know I'm sharing a little of the inside baseball and inside tea and all that stuff that's not real popular and savory and people don't really like to hear it. But it is what it is. We've taken over the Democratic Party. We took it from the establishment, which means we lost the establishment money, which means we've got to get out there and we've got to burn the midnight oil. Time to perform. And we don't wait. The one way, I'm telling you, just some Cliff's notes of this conversation. The one thing that I think really kind of tempered the negative thoughts, because of course, if you hit somebody with running for office, they're going to have a lot of fears and concerns. One of the things that tempered that was election season doesn't start till next March. But if we start now, preparing now, don't wait till next March. It's not like jumping into a cold bathtub. We'll have momentum. We'll have momentum. But we cannot have circular firing squads. We cannot have the attack the Democrats bullshit. We can't. Mile High 49, we got this in the bag mindset is why we're here in the first place. Yeah. It's going to take work. It's going to take work. Good news? Yes. It's looking like it's going to be a backlash election. We're seeing, I'm laser focused on these local elections and what's happening. I'm seeing the Republicans in the Supreme Court race. We're talking about Allison Riggs. They wrapped that up. They were perfectly comfortable a couple months ago going the long haul. Take this to the Supreme Court. Drag this out. Keep Allison Riggs from being seated so that we don't have a liberal voice on the Supreme Court. No problem. We can fight this out to Jefferson Griffin. You got to get out of that damn race. This is killing us. This is killing us. Well, people that think that they're okay don't change tacks like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? The Republican Party realized, oh shit, we're losing elections on the local level. People are pissed at us. We can't afford to look like we're trying to disenfranchise military voters. We've got to stop this nonsense now. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And it just goes to show you, Abby Normal, it just says the Allison Riggs confirmation was a beautiful thing. It just goes to show you that when we fight it out, we win. And I'm just going to assure you one thing. I know I've had a lot of negative things to say. I want to just leave you with this. Trump is a lame duck already. He has the lowest approval ratings of any president ever in modern history. I think maybe ever in our history where we've actually done scientific polling. He has the lowest approval numbers of any president. He's already an anchor. He is already grifting out as much money as he can suck in. He's already trying to lock in these resort deals. He's already openly taking bribes. He's already in that mode. They know. What does that mean? That means the Republicans are going to try to, their tax bill is in danger. Their own caucus is fracturing all over the place because they can't agree on how much to give Johnny Got Rocks in tax cuts. What can we survive? How much can we give and Johnny Got Rocks in tax cuts and hurt grandma at the same time? So I'm not asking you believe me and what I feel and what I think. This is going to be a backlash election. And if you don't believe me, listen to the Republicans and what they're doing. But I do know what we can do. Let's get that battering ram moving as fast as possible, as much momentum as possible. Start as early as possible. Stop the circular firing squad. You hate Chuck Schumer? Fine. I'm the founder of the Ride or Die Democrats, and I'll remind everybody what that means. Let me see the hearts and skulls of all my Ride or Die Democrats. Who's a member of the Ride or Die Democrats in the chat? Just a reminder of who we are. Ride or Die Democrats are really simple people. We know that the Democratic Party is a big tent. We know that we're going to support different candidates. We're going to have different points of view. We're going to slug it out in the primaries. You're going to fight your ass off for who you believe in. I think I'm going to be a Buttigieg guy. I think I'm leaning in that direction. I, of course, haven't made a decision. We're a long ways out, but I liked Pete before, and he's done nothing but get better in my eyes. The experience and whatnot, but I don't know. I may end up on the Newsom bandwagon. I may end up, I don't know. I don't see how I end up with J.B. Pritzker because he's a billionaire. He's one of the oligarchs. I don't know. Maybe he'll win me over, though. But in the primaries, we fight it the hell out. But when that primary is over, I'm a Democrat. You're a Democrat. You're all Democrats. When that primary is over, we walk in that voting booth and we pull that lever for whoever's name has that D behind them. Whichever Democrat gets our vote and our support. Does that mean that we give up on everything we believed in? No. Of course not. Of course not. You keep fighting for what you believe in. But we don't shoot Democrats in the ass. We don't become an anchor to our own party. We're going to keep the momentum up. We're going to keep it fired up. We're not just going to have a backlash election where we take back the House and maybe the Senate. No, we're going to have a historic backlash election. We're going to freaking dominate. I'm out there busting my ass on my days off. This is what you're paying for, people. When you support this show, it's not just us getting together to talk. I'm taking days. Yesterday, I spent hours at lunch selling my ass off because I had a guy sitting across the table from me and a woman sitting across the table from me. Either one of them would have been amazing candidates. Amazing candidates that we could support and be proud of. And if they choose not to, I'm going to recruit them to help me find somebody else in their social circle that's on the same par as they are, because we're going to get some good damn people in these offices. We're going to get that battering ram swinging as hard as we frickin' can. We're going to bust these gates down, and we are going to take over this government, and we're going to return it to the respectable, decent government that it has always been. And we are going to go back to pushing our core beliefs, not the bigotry that they are. Because what does it mean? What is our core beliefs? It's really freaking simple, folks. We all do better when we all do better. Not just Johnny got rocks. There's no such thing as trickle down. Trickle down translates to piss on my back. That's all it means. Democrats, everybody makes money. Everybody makes money. From your waitress to your CEO. Because that's the way we govern. Because when the people do well, when you focus on keeping the people fat and happy and healthy, there is money to be made by these executives, these sharks in the pool. It's just history, folks. Go take a look at every single administration. Compare Democrat to Republican. I had a dyed-in-the-wool MAGA guy that just walked away from MAGA. Did he become a Democrat? Hell no, he didn't, because culturally, they've been talking shit about us for decades. You're not going to get them to just say, oh, yeah, now I'm a Democrat. No, that's not going to happen. He said out of his mouth, you know, we always make more money when there's a Democrat in office. That man's going to become an independent. That's what I'm fighting for, folks. You know, the old boy I was talking to said, you know, hey, man, this was not on my plans. I didn't, you know, and I did. I was selling hard. I really was. You can make a difference. It's a good job. Unfortunately, this guy's pretty worldly and he knows the downside of the job as well. So every positive point I kept spinning, he kept coming back with, yeah, but this part of it sucks. And I'm like, yeah, I get that, brother. But I want you to think about something. Who do you want sitting in the impeachment trial? Someone like you that can understand what they're hearing? Or do you want somebody that's not hearing anything at all and they're just going to vote because they licked Trump's taint? And I could see it in his eyes. When I started getting him to imagine the things that are coming over the next couple of years, I think I got him. I think I got him to really, really consider it. That's what I'm doing, folks. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm in touch with these local Democratic parties. I'm looking at people right now stepping up. Some people have no business running for office. Sweet people, good people, nice people, but they've got no business running for office. I'm out there trying to make every Democrat that runs to be a damn good person with enough worldly experience that they can get in that job and they can look at all of the different concepts, because we're going to have to work to keep the lights on and the trains running, and we're going to have to keep this government working, plus fix all of the crap that Trump destroys. That's what I'm doing, folks. That's what I'm doing. And I appreciate you for supporting me, because I can't do it without you. I am grateful. Well, folks, that's what I've got for you today. Oh, Catherine, that's a whole show unto itself. Who are the Dems running for the Senate in Texas? That's not etched in stone yet. Not etched in stone yet. We're working to bring the best candidates there are. So, yeah, he's great at making deals, Mothra. He's great at making deals. If you want a guy that makes deals, Schumer's your guy. But you know what? If you don't like Chuck Schumer, I understand. Be a ride or die Democrat. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. Be a ride or die Democrat. You don't like Chuck Schumer? When it comes to those leadership elections, you get loud and proud and you make your voice known. But those leadership elections don't happen till after the midterm. So let's not drill holes in our boat before the midterms. Great point. Great point. I don't think Schumer will be. He's going to step down. I do. I don't see him trying to make it through the next set of elections. I don't. Spicy Jester, thanks for always being here, friend. Thank you for being a beacon of hope, Texas Paul. Understand that you give many people hope on days we have none. You know, just talk about it the way it is, man, because anything I told you today, please. I showed you the headlines. Google them. Read. Fact check me. If you can't stand being fact checked, you're in the wrong business, brother. That's what I've got for you today, folks. I appreciate you. Got much to do. If you don't see me for a few days, I just know I'll be missing you. Love you guys. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.